till 27th of May, while I was living 27th of May, Mr. Senate President, I was commissioning, I was flagging off a project. This thing can be achieved if you are committed, if you have passion for the job. There are so many people who want to be minister, who want to be governor, for the sake that I was a governor, for the sake that I was a minister. But there are those who say, look, what do I want to offer? Am I committed to this job? And I told Mr. President, for nominating me, I believe, knowing how hungry Mr. President is to solving the problems of Nigeria, we have no choice but to give him that required support. And I can assure you, if I'm confirmed, in whatever capacity, Mr. President will not regret nominating me. Thank you, and God bless you.
Well, it's 63 days of President Bola Tinubu's administration, and the Senate has commenced screening of his ministerial nominees. Wike, Badaru, Kyari, Betta Edu, and many others have now been screened by the Red Chamber. The screening has witnessed moments of controversies over the timeline in the educational qualification of a nominee, subsisting court cases against a nominee, some instances of take a bow and go for former lawmakers, as well as some moments of frank questions. We want to know what you think about the ongoing screening of ministerial nominees at the Senate. Share your thoughts on Twitter right now using the hashtag #first100days, tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for joining us on the program. President Tinubu is now set to address the nation. And that's where we're beginning from tonight in the nation's capital, where in the next 1 hour, the president is expected to address Nigerians. That's according to a special advisor on special duties, communications, and strategy. The president is widely expected to address the outcry of Nigerians aftermath the removal of fuel subsidy and share federal government's intervention plan following the widely reported organized labor's nationwide protest expected to begin on Wednesday. Also, earlier today, President Tinubu officially decorated the newly appointed service chiefs with their new ranks, and this pivotal event formally marks the beginning of their tenure as the nation's topmost defense officers. The ceremony, which held inside the council chambers of the presidential villa, was witnessed by the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, top government officials, as well as family members of the officers. The service chiefs, whose appointments were initially declared on the 19th of June, have been screened by the National Assembly, and having successfully completed this legislative scrutiny, they now take up their roles as the chief architects of Nigeria's defense and security strategies. State House correspondent Femi Akonde has been following that particular development. He joins me live from the presidential villa. Femi, the service chiefs were officially decorated today at the State House. No doubt they now have their work cut out for them, right?
Yes, indeed, Nifemi. They have been decorated. It's now for them to go out and execute Mr. President's charge to secure the country, to secure lives and property, to tackle all emerging security threats, and also ensure that their strategy continues to evolve. Their strategy to tackle the security challenges remains dynamic and in tandem with the changing conventions in security globally. Well, Nifemi, you know, the president also asked these service chiefs to work together to improve in their synergy, especially among the security agencies. He says in recent past, there has been quite an improvement in the security situation in the country. Mr. President said this is particularly because of the steadfastness, commitment and dedication of the service chiefs. He thanked them for their service to the country, thanked their families for tolerating the service chiefs, for allowing them also contribute to the country, contribute to protecting the country, defending its territorial integrity. And he says that, well, whatever these security agencies need to keep the country safe, he as President and Commander-in-Chief will provide, because you recall that in his inaugural speech, he says security will be a priority of his administration. And the service chiefs, on their part, pledged 100% loyalty to their Commander-in-Chief. Nifemi.
The president is set to address the nation at 7. Perhaps the last time we heard from him in a nationwide broadcast was on Democracy Day. Expectations are in top gear as to federal government's intervention after the removal of fuel subsidy. Talk to us about what to expect in this speech.
We believe the president will be explaining to Nigerians the intention behind most of the policies his administration has introduced since he assumed office on the 29th of May, especially the removal of fuel subsidy. We have seen how this has disrupted the national life. Different sectors of the country have been affected by just the impact of the removal of petrol subsidy. We know that palliatives have already been rolled out through the National Economic Council, mandating state governments to drive the process. That is ongoing. But we also believe that President Bola Tinubu will want to at least touch base with Nigerians, the people that elected him. He owes Nigerians that to at least always communicate government plans and policies, talk to Nigerians, feel their pulse, and in some cases also react to some of the things, the demands that Nigerians are making. The biggest thing for this administration is the removal of petrol subsidy and how they would ensure that they reduce the hardship it has caused for so many Nigerians. So all is work in progress. We'll wait until 7 p.m. to see what President Bola Tinubu will say and also point the country in the direction it will take moving forward. Nifemi.
You covered the Ecowas extraordinary meeting in Abuja yesterday and the resolutions on the coup d'etat situation in Niger. What do you think the community is doing differently under the Tinubu chairmanship? Because just last year, there was another coup in Burkina Faso, and nothing has changed despite ECOWAS's strong condemnation of it.
Well, Nifemi, under President Bola Tinubu's leadership of ECOWAS, we are seeing stiffer sanctions imposed on countries who are experiencing military takeovers, with the latest being Niger Republic. And of course, that is the first under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. You know, he had already said earlier that ECOWAS should be resolute. ECOWAS should no longer lay back. ECOWAS should develop and become like a dog that not only barks but bites. And we are beginning to see the manifestation of that under his leadership. The sanctions imposed on Niger Republic are very tough sanctions. We expect that in the coming weeks, this sanction will, in the coming days, this sanction will also pile pressure on the military governments in Niger Republic and force them to open their doors to talk to ECOWAS, to President Bola Tinubu, to also negotiate. But what President Bola Tinubu is saying is that, well, for ECOWAS stance is that democracy, democratic governance must be restored in Niger Republic, and also the democratically elected president who will be the only one recognized by ECOWAS, that's Mohamed Bazoum, should be released with immediate effect. He is also putting on the table an option of the use of force, a military option, if that ultimatum given by ECOWAS expires and the military government in Niger Republic, the coup plotters in Niger Republic, are still hanging on to power, then ECOWAS will be left with no other option than to use force. We do not know how they intend to do that, if they will put boots on the ground or what strategy they will take to enforce that use of force that will push out the coup plotters. That we do not know. We hear that they are keeping that under wraps. That is a security and military strategy, but that is on the table, and other options are being explored also by ECOWAS under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. Nifemi.
Absolutely. There are also other resolutions that engage in imposing no-flight zone on Niger and ordering relevant authorities to freeze ordering financial institutions to freeze the assets of Niger in other countries. Nigerians are concerned about the extent of involvement of Nigeria as it plays the big brother role in the sub-region, particularly when you also pay attention to the economic crisis back at home, Femi.
Well, Nigeria is a very big financier of ECOWAS. Nigeria is the biggest economy also in ECOWAS and indeed in Africa. So Nigeria always has to be at the front, lead from the front. play that big brother role. And, well, Nigeria is also particularly concerned about the impact of instability, political instability in Niger Republic, because Nigeria shares borders with Niger Republic on the northwest fringes of the country. And they are concerned about the influx of refugees, people fleeing the hardship or conflict or fleeing the situation in Niger Republic would naturally move down to Nigeria. Already in Nigeria, we have a growing number of refugees and of people coming in from Niger Republic. A lot of them are undocumented. And you know, Nigeria is also grappling with its own security challenges. So whatever happens in Niger will have a ripple effect in Nigeria. And that is why Nigeria has to really play that lead role, lead from the front, show that big brother role this time around in ECOWAS. President Bola Tinubu understands all of that, and that is why he is talking tough. Nifemi.
Akonde, State House correspondent live for us at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Now, the Nigeria Labour Congress seems adamant on the planned protest on Wednesday as the pressure group is calling on the federal government to address the issue of subsidy removal. The Senate has issued an urgent plea requesting that the Labour Union reconsiders its planned action. Addressing the situation, the Senate expressed that while the legislative body respects NLC's right to protest, it's crucial to weigh this against the potential fallout that could greatly affect citizens' daily lives and livelihoods. Well, will the NLC still go on strike, or rather go on its protest despite the address by the president to come on air by 7 p.m. today, particularly as he addresses issues of palliatives? That's the big question we're asking right now. National Chairman Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights, Comrade Rufus Olusegun, joins me on the program. Comrade, thank you for your time. Organized Labour walked out on the meeting with the federal government last Friday. According to them, government isn't ready. What do you make of the engagement between government and workers under this administration?
It's my pleasure to be here this evening. And I think this regime, this government welcome the Nigerian population, both the working class and the poor, with orientals of our tax, particularly in the day where the president was sworn. People expected a lot of jubilation, and of course, that the previous government of 8 years led by General Buhari has unleashed serious havoc on the working masses, with a view that with the new government coming in place, Nigeria will be better off. That was on 29th of May. It was the same day the president, without any ambiguous, announced the subsidy removal. And you all know that Nigeria, we practice what they call mono economy. We only have one common product, which is oil, that cuts across other facets of life. For just a few minutes of his address, to have told the whole nation that subsidy on fuel has gone. You know what the meaning. You know the meaning. Let me say this: we at the Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights welcome and support the Nigeria Labour Congress protest slated for Wednesday, 2nd of 2023.
I hear you, Comrade Rufus. But talk to us about, as a union leader yourself, what are your expectations, as the president addresses the nation in a few minutes from now?
Please, you see, you can't talk about expectations without understanding the rudiment of what is on the ground. Because if you are looking at the situation of this present government, you are guessing. And you cannot guess in isolation. And of course, it is crystal clear that the so-called palliative cannot sustain our problem. Inevitable. When you are talking about 12 million people will take 8,000 naira for 6 months, you ask me, how do you determine that 12 million people? And of course, how do you arrive at 8,000 naira to take care of enormous issues as the issue of subsidy removal has already damaged within the context of economy? Don't forget, it is the same system. Within a short period, there has been hike in school fees, hike in electricity tariff, and of course, other social amenities of life. Party cannot run because the percentage of people is very low, and of course, the living condition of the working masses have totally gone down.
Comrade Rufus, you seem to be stating the very obvious about what Nigerians are going through. I would like us to focus on what to do differently. For instance, the Senate has expressed concern about the economic implication of the nationwide protest, how it will affect, the daily lives and livelihoods of Nigerians. Not to talk about Downing tools, for instance. What do we do right now? How should unions, address this matter without making life more difficult for Nigerians?
Well, the first thing is that don't forget there was a committee set up by government to see how essentially government can parley with labor. And of course, the last meeting, government representatives didn't come to that meeting. It shows clearly government is not serious to see this problem or end to this legal crisis. And of course, as it's well now, the first thing is that government have to reverse that subsidy mover, because we cannot, even in America, people do subsidize some of their products, some of their utilities, social amenities for people to survive. So government must not, that government must resist that decision of saying that subsidy removal has gone. Two, the government must invest in education. In the last 1 year, according to the WHO, 13% of Nigerian children are out of school as at last year. With this situation, government must invest in education. Where government is saying that they don't have business in education, they don't have business in governance, it cannot help the situation. So the first thing government must do is to that palliative. It is not the masses that cause the problem. So in the first instance, government must rescind that decision that subsidy is gone. Secondly, government must invest in education. Thirdly, the issue of privatization of electricity tariff, government must reserve it. And all this by right torrent of attacks on the working masses. Don't forget, people have low salary income, and of course, there is low purchasing power now. Government must invest and stabilize the economy. The issue of this exchange rate that have gone up must come down, which means government must invest in industrialization, which government presently they don't care about.
I hear you, comrade. I agree with you to the extent of education, but when you talk about reversing the removal of fuel subsidy, I'm sure you're aware that the subsidy regime ended with the Petroleum Industry Act, which became law last year. But that's our time, and I want to say a big thank you for joining us in this conversation. National Chairman, Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights, Comrade Rufus Olusegun. Now let's take you to Adamawa State, where some hoodlums attacked the NEMA warehouse in Yola, carting away goods and property as state government declares curfew to forestall breakdown of law and order. Let's find out updates in that part of the country. Head of operations of the National Emergency Management Agency Yola office, Ladan Ayuba, joins me live on the program. Thank you for joining us. What have you found out from preliminary investigations to be the cause of this attack?
I want to thank you for the opportunity given to me to express not only my own view, but the view the people in humanitarian affairs, that is
Go ahead, Mr. Ayuba.
What actually happened was pure looting. Because if people feel they are hungry, you don't have to carry dagger, you don't have to carry hammer, you don't have to carry cutlass, you want food. And not only that, if actually food is their problem, why is it that after cutting away with the food, they still go ahead and destroy the building, destroying the furniture, the furniture's equipment in that office? So it's the activities of the hoodlums.
All right.
These bad guys do not wish us well.
So you're saying that this is more of a criminal act than an economic situation. I just wanted to talk to us about how NEMA has been able to engage with the people prior to this attack, because some are saying, hope this is not an indictment on the agency's performance and its ability to be proactive when needed.
No, NEMA has done its best. Before this incident, we had a security report, and we zoomed into action, made with the appropriate agencies, security agencies. Then informed them that most likely, because it's rumor, that these bad guys, they might attack not only NEMA, because it's not only NEMA alone. We have SEMAS, we have other agencies that have warehouses around that area. So it's just that yesterday, there was a plan. They already perfected their plans. And at the end of the day, they executed that plan. Because they discovered that the level of the security in that place, actually we beef up security in that place. But as for yesterday, the population, the number of people that looted the items, there were more than 3,000. So, and you know, even with the military or the security agencies, they have to observe the rule of engagement. They cannot shoot. And that gave them privilege and leverage.
Hold on, Mr. Ayuba. Did you say the people that looted the NEMA office were up to 3,000?
There are many, yes.
So they're not probably, are you saying all of them all together? Because what was reported was that they were a criminal gang. Are you saying there's a criminal gang in Yola that has up to 3,000 members?
Well, you know, it's possible some people must have joined, because if there's any eventuality, if there's anything that will happen, they have the ring leaders. So possibly because the state is battling with bad boys here, who call Sheila boys. Because when I went there, I saw the heavy, with so many equipment, so many weapons. I said, what is it all about? There were many, and in fact, we could not contain them because there was nothing we could do. Even they overwhelmed the security. And you know, because some of them enter the premises through the fence, that is the back part of the warehouses. Because it's not only one warehouse. There are warehouses, there are many. There are about 4 altogether, including our own office. So there were many.
So let's talk about what the current...
It's a criminal act.
I hear you, Mr. Ayuba. What's the current situation now with the 24-hour curfew? What's the current security situation around the NEMA facility in Yola, and how soon is the agency expected to resume its operation?
Today, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of the state, came to see things by himself, that is on the spot assessment. We took him round, and he promised to review the curfew as normalcy, as they are observing the level of compliance. So we are hoping, because today, we wake up today, the curfew is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They are allowed to move around. But from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, everybody should be indoor. So the way I look at it, I think there's a great improvement. And it's a very good thing that the governor did, because it's not only NEMA's warehouse alone. even individuals or private warehouses. They were looting. They started looting. They entered the market. So as a result of that curfew, that is what contained them, and they were able to salvage the situation.
Right.
As it is now, in Yola, the atmosphere is calm, and people are busy going about their businesses.
Head of Operations, Nema Yola Office, Laden Ayuba, thank you for talking to us on the program. And that's our program today. You can watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. I'm back at the top of the hour with more. Stay with us.